All right, red zone number 5 is all about rate of change. Hopefully you remember that rate of change is just another word for slope. So number 1, find the slope and the y-intercept of the linear equation y equals 2/3 x minus 10. So this equation is great because it's in a form that we like. It's called slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept. So the slope in this case is the 2/3, and the y-intercept is -10, choice D. Number 2, find the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points. There's a very easy way to find slope. We learned a formula for it. It's called the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to label our coordinates. Each coordinate is x comma y. So the first one is x1, y1. And the second one is x2, y2. Now we just substitute them into the formula. 16 minus 6 over 3 minus -2. Be careful in that bottom. It's 3 minus -2. A lot of you don't like to write minus negative, so you could change it to 3 plus 2, because 3 minus -2 is exactly the same thing as 3 plus 2. 16 minus 6 is 10, 3 plus 2 is 5, 10 divided by 5 is 2, so the slope is 2. Number 3, the scatter plot below can be used to find the approximate rate at which water flows through a garden hose. The line of best fit for the scatter plot can be described by the equation y equals 4 over 5x. If the rate in gallons per minute continues, approximately how many gallons of water will flow from the hose in 45 minutes? Well, x represents the number of minutes, and we have an equation that has an x in it. So I can just replace the x with 45 minutes. So y equals 4 over 5 times 45, which equals, let's see, 36. So B, 36. Normally I would look at the graph, but at 45, the line would be like up here, and it doesn't fit. So it's kind of hard to estimate. Next question. There's 2 functions, one's an equation, one's a table, and we are comparing them. So choice A says the slope of function w is equal to the slope of function z. Well, the slope of function w is -1 over 16. The slope of function z I don't have, so I can figure out by doing the jumps or by doing the slope formula, whichever you prefer. I'm going to do the jumps. I could see that it is going down 0.04 every time that the x value goes up 1. So the slope, which is y over the change in y over the change in x, is -0.4. And the slope of this one is -1 over 16. -1 over 16 as a decimal is -0.0625. So they are not equal. The slope of function w is less than the slope of function z. Well, which one is actually less? It's tough with negatives and decimals. It's hard for you guys to think about. So let's check the other choices first. The y-intercept of w is equal to the y-intercept of z. Well, this is the y-intercept of w, and this is the y-intercept of z, so they're not equal. And the y-intercept of w is less than the y-intercept of z. 30 is not less than 15.8. So B is the correct answer, which we can see by comparing these 2 decimals. -0.0625 is less than -0.04. Which one has the least value for the y-intercept? Well, for A, it's 15. For B, it's -3. For, oh, that was C, sorry. For B, it's -2, and for D, it's 2. So -3 is the least. They want to know what x equals 1 represents. So x is the number of months. So it has to have something to do with 1 month. So since when x equals 1, and you plug that in, and you're going to figure out y, which they tell you is the cost for 1 month. So it must be c, the cost for the first month of going to the gym. Here, they say Kevin is saving money based on that table. Christy is saving money based on the equation y equals 26x. They want to know, compares their rates of change. You have to find the slopes. So for Kevin, you could do the slope formula by picking 2 of the points, or you could do it by looking at the jumps, plus 2, plus 2, plus 46, plus 46, 46 over 2 equals 23. So that's the rate of change for Kevin. And for Christy, it's 26. So Christy obviously makes $3 more per week. Christy saved $3 per week more than Kevin, choice A. This one was a tough one for all you guys and girls. The points 4, 1 and x negative 6 lie in the same line. If the slope of the line is 1, what is the value of x? The easiest way to do this for me, and I know all of the teachers have told you this, is find a graph, plot the point 4, 1, and then just keep plotting a bunch more points using this slope until you get to that coordinate. But I'll show you the mathematical way of doing it. We know the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to label my points, x1, y1, x2, y2. And now I'm going to substitute in. Now we know the slope is 1, so 1 equals negative 6 minus 1 over x minus 4. I'm going to simplify that a little bit. 1 equals negative 7 over x minus 4. So in order for this side to be equal to 1, the numerator and the denominator have to be the same thing, meaning this has to be negative 7. So what value of x will make that negative 7? Now I only have 4 choices, so I can just take turns plugging them in, or I can just make an equation, x minus 4 equals negative 7. And when I solve that, I get x equals negative 3. Line n passes through these points. Talia determined that the equation of that explained her error. Okay, so the first thing we're thinking is she probably messed up the slope. So let's find out. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So negative 5 minus negative 7.5 over 2 minus negative 3 is 2 minus negative 3 is 2.5 over 5, which equals 0.5. Okay, so Talia found the slope correctly. So what could her error possibly be? Well, if you remember this year, we've told you to write the equation of a line, you need to find 2 pieces of information, the slope and the y-intercept. I notice that Talia does not have a y-intercept, so that's probably the mistake. So there's a few ways we can find the y-intercept. I'm going to switch the color of my pen to red. One is to use the point slope form of a line, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And I'll just pick one of the points. This one looks easier, the 2, negative 5. So y plus 5 equals 0.5 parentheses x minus 2. And now I just need to rearrange this equation so that it's in slope-intercept form. So y plus 5 equals 0.5x minus 1. Y equals 0.5x minus 6. So her mistake, and now I'll type Talia, hold on one sec, there we go. Talia did not find the y-intercept. The correct equation is y equals 0.5x minus 6. If you don't include the correct equation, you don't get full credit because it told you to. And that's it for part 1. Part 2 will be the next video.